Whether it's the ad you scroll past or the news you're watching, persuasion is this constant, powerful force just shaping our world every single day. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and really dig into the science of how it all works.
Okay, take a look at this number. 13 hours and 21 minutes. Any guesses what that is?
That, believe it or not, is how much media the average American consumed every single day back in 2020. I mean, we are basically swimming in an ocean of persuasive messages, and they're all fighting for our attention.
So that begs the question, right? Is getting someone to change their mind just some kind of art form? Or is there a real, actual science to it? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out.
As it turns out, social psychologists have this really powerful model for understanding how our brains handle all of these attempts to persuade us. And it all boils down to two very different paths our brain can take. It's called the elaboration likelihood model, or, ELM for short. And it's a really foundational concept for understanding influence. The main idea is actually pretty simple. When we see or hear a persuasive message, our brain can take one of two routes to process it.
So you've got the central route. This is your brain's deep thinking mode. It's when you're carefully weighing the logic, the evidence, the arguments. And then there's the peripheral route. Think of this as your brain's autopilot. This is when you're influenced by much more superficial stuff, like, is the speaker attractive? Does the ad have a catchy song? Is the packaging really cool? So what makes this take one route over the other? This flowchart lays it out perfectly. If you look over on the left, things like your own personal motivation or your ability to really focus, those things push us toward that central, deep thinking process. But if we're distracted, or maybe the issue just isn't that important to us, our brain defaults to the peripheral route, where we get swayed by all those surface-level cues you see on the right.
And here's the kicker, the really crucial point. While both routes can change your mind in the moment, it's only the central route, that deep, deliberate kind of thinking that leads to changes in your attitude that are strong, that last, and that can actually resist future arguments.
Okay, so now we get the two pathways in our brain. So let's peek inside the persuader's playbook. There's a classic model that breaks down any attempt to persuade you into three core parts.
This is from the Yale model, and it's just brilliantly simple. Every single persuasive attempt has a source. That's the who delivering the message. Then there's the message itself. That's the what they're actually saying. And finally, you have an audience, the whom they're trying to convince. So let's look at the who first. Turns out we are just more easily persuaded by people who are attractive, who seem like they're credible experts, and who deliver their message with a whole lot of confidence. These traits act like those peripheral cues we talked about, making us feel good about the message, so we don't have to think too hard about it. Now, beyond the person speaking, the content of the message, the what, is absolutely critical. And one of the most powerful tactics here is something called the identifiable victim effect. We are just far more likely to be moved to action by the emotional story of one single person than by a dry statistic about thousands. That vivid personal story just kind of short-circuits our analytical brain. Fear, that's another really powerful tool in the message, but you have to use it carefully. Check out this chart from a study on smoking. Scaring people a little bit had some effect, sure. But the combination of fear plus giving them clear instructions on how to quit, that was by far the most effective at actually changing behavior. Just scaring people isn't enough. You've got to show them the way out.
And finally, we get to the whom, the audience. And you know what? Age is a huge factor here. Research consistently shows that younger people tend to be more persuadable. And it makes sense, right? As we get older, our attitudes and beliefs have had more time to solidify, to bake in through experience, making them much tougher to change.
But here's the thing. We're not just passive targets in all of this. Even with all these sophisticated tactics, we have our own built-in defense systems that help us push back and resist unwanted persuasion. This cartoon is pretty funny, but it gets at a fundamental truth about us. The man says, "There, that's what I like. News coverage that reinforces my biases." And if we're being honest, we all do this, at least a little. Our minds are just wired to protect what we already believe. And of course, there's a name for this. It's called selective attention. We instinctively tune in to information that confirms what we already think, and we tend to tune out, ignore, or just conveniently forget stuff that challenges our beliefs. It's like our own personal mental filter that protects our worldview. Okay, now look at these two signs from different sides of the gun control debate. One sign focuses on the weapon itself, guns kill. The other one focuses on the person using it. Criminals do not obey laws.
Now, this isn't just a difference of opinion. It's a very deliberate, strategic choice in how to present the issue.
And that strategy is called selective framing. It's really the flip side of selective attention. If our brains filter what we hear, framing is all about carefully choosing what we say. Just think about the terms pro-choice versus pro-life. Both are frames, right? They're designed to make one particular aspect of a super complex issue, either choice or life, seem like the most important one.
So we know we have these built-in defenses, but what if we want to be more proactive? What if we could actually strengthen our beliefs against future attacks? Well, as it turns out, there's a tool for that.
It's called attitude inoculation. And the metaphor here is absolutely perfect. You know how a vaccine gives you a weak version of a virus so your body can build up physical defenses? Well, this is the same idea. Exposing your beliefs to small, weak counterarguments allows you to build up your mental antibodies.
And the data shows this actually works. Look at this chart. That first bar, that's a strong belief. Now, when that belief gets hit with a strong counterargument, look at the second bar. Support for it just plummets. But look at that third bar. That group was inoculated first with a mild attack. So when the exact same strong attack came along later, their belief was way more resilient. They had built up those mental antibodies.
So what's the big takeaway here? The goal of understanding all this stuff about persuasion isn't to become a cynic who just distrusts every single message. Not at all. The goal is to become a more discerning consumer of information, to know when you're thinking deeply and when your autopilot is being nudged by a simple peripheral cue.
This knowledge really is a tool. It can be used to sell things, to win arguments, or to inspire incredible change. It can help you defend your own beliefs and maybe even understand other people a little bit better. Persuasion is powerful, so the only real question left is, how will you use it?